Hi.
Hi.
Welcome,
Thank you.
welcome back to Canada. It's nice to see you again.
I'm very happy to be here. Really, really, really happy.
So I was hoping you can help us out with this a bit. So Chicuarotes is about a very particular part of Mexico City.
Yeah.
It's an area known as San Gregorio. Why was that where you wanted to tell the story?
Well, that's part of the mystery of that attracted me to this film. I really had no idea of this place. I had no idea of this story in a way. It came. I mean, it was a script that survived one of those script workshops that they do, and the writer started to move the script around. And like all good things, it was a friend of mine who said, "Hey, you've got." After I finished my first film, more than 10 years ago, and he said, "Hey, you have to read this. I mean, I think this would be the next movie, for you like to do." And indeed, it was something that attracted me a lot because I had no idea of this place. Like I had no idea of Chicuarotes. What does that mean? Chicuarotes is in Spanish we call it a gentilicio, but I think it's in English. I'm not sure. It's the term that is given for people from a certain region. And this is for people from San Gregorio, Chicuarotes.
Right. It's like a nickname. It's a
exactly like a nickname. Like
Isn't it also like a pepper? Isn't it also?
It is
like...
a pepper. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It is a pepper that has a strong character and that is very resilient and quite I say hard-headed.
Right.
So it is it's kind of the character of the inhabitants of San Gregorio. And this is within Mexico City. This is one of the many towns that got engulfed by Mexico City. And we rarely know about it because it's very difficult to access it because you have to go around the lakes, And it is a little bit how Mexico City used to be. Mexico City used to be this city built on lakes. And it is a big valley and it should be inundated all the time. It should be completely made out of water, no? But that's where we built the next civilization, so it's completely empty.
I think the only reason I knew about it was because it wasn't hit by earthquakes really bad maybe a few years ago.
Yes, it was hit by earthquakes, and we were about to shoot the film. We were starting to do the prep for the film, and we were actually in a prep meeting, and there was we were connected all of us, through in the computers, and all of a sudden we were like, oh. Okay, it's starting to move, it's starting to shake, and we're used to it in a way, but this one was a heavy one 2 years ago, and all of a sudden San Gregorio started to appear in the news as the place that was most hurt by the earthquake in Mexico City, and that is for many reasons. I mean, one of the strongest reasons is because there is a bit of a lack of governance in San Gregorio, in this town within Mexico City, for many reasons, but one of them particularly is that the people of the town and of certain towns around there got very tired of the strong impunity that criminality can have, and they started to take matters in their own hands in a way, and unfortunately that leads to a very it leads to a lack of governance completely. So there was a lack of strong regulations for how to build buildings around, and it is a place that normally it's flooded, normally, and the buildings were not, it is a complicated place to inhabit in a way. So that's one of the reasons why it was a little bit hurt by the earthquake. But we, preparing this film, we made strong bonds with the people there in San Gregorio. We worked a lot with we did these workshops for 2 years, with kids from the area, and we found ourselves immersed in a town where we never thought we were ever going to be in our lives, and that is what's so fantastic about cinema. No?
Yeah, surely.
Yeah.
But I'm also interested in, like, there has to be something about these people, like you said, Chicuarotes, these kind of stubborn, tough people living in this place that should not be inhabited. That should be flooded, and then. That they are there as a miracle, and then they have to live through these earthquakes and poverty and lawlessness, as you say. What is it about them that you wanted to tell their story?
Oh, something fantastic, really. I mean, I feel that they, and this might sound a little bit far off, but we I felt they really harbored us for telling this story. In a way, it is a place in Mexico City that rarely is seen, and very few people know it. So in a way, when the film came out, they were quite expectant to see what people would think about it, and obviously, the film is an angle of a family of a kid that could be a kid from anywhere, and is surrounded by basically a lack of love, and his decisions, his very the critical point in his life where he has to take decisions in a way are guided by that lack of love, or misguided rather by that lack of love. And he makes really bad decisions. Some of them are quirky and funny, but some of them are incredibly, the consequences are very dire. So in a way, a lot of people, when they saw the film, when they heard about it, they were like, no, but we're not like that. People from San Gregorio are not like that. And of course not. I mean, this is a fable within the place. Of course not. It's far off from the truth. Actually, it is a wonderful place, and the people are really incredible. Are really, really, really loving, and they hold a very interesting secret, and this is what might sound a little bit far off.
Yeah.
I think they have a secret on how they're like sort of a spiritual, reserve of how Mexico used to be in a way. And I think they are in touch with how to live within land and water, in that kind of border. There is an animal that is autochthonous endemic to the area that is called the axolote. I don't know how much.
It's kind of like it's not quite a salamander, right?
It's before a salamander.
Before a salamander,
exactly.
Yeah.
But it never ends up evolving into a salamander, and it is the most it's the most incredible animal, and incredibly resilient, incredibly. It's an animal that dies young in a way because it never reaches maturity, but lives on for many, 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 many years, and actually is incredibly tough. It regenerates parts of his body, and it's an incredible animal, and so we wanted. Something I got from the film definitely, and we wanted to angle on was focusing on that animal, on that kind of amphibious culture that the people, the inhabitants of San Gregorio Tlapulco live. It is a place where I think they hold a mystery of this place should be paradise. This place should be complete paradise. And why it is not? Why is it that we have to escape from it?
Well, yeah. And so that brings me to my point about how this can kind of be anywhere. If you're just tuning in, though, Gael García Bernal is with me. His new film is called Chicuarotes. It's set in San Gregorio in Mexico City. I agree with you that this is a story that's specific to them, but it's also a story that could be kind of set anywhere. Because my producer Chris and I were talking about this. Ultimately, it's about a bunch of people who take desperate measures to get out of the situation they find themselves in, and about how violence repeats itself. How violence from a parent leads to violence from a child, leads to violence from their children. What did you want to say about the cycle of violence in this film?
Yeah, there was something that we wanted to investigate in a way. We wanted to investigate, the origin of violence, because of course Mexico is one of the many countries in the world where we're it is the thing we talk about every day.
Violence.
Yeah. It's something we talk about it every day. It is like a guiding sort of topic during the day. We have to engage with it because obviously it is unbearable, the violence that has been going on. Mainly because of this huge sort of war against drugs, that started to erupt in the early 2000s, but also because of like a whole system of impunity and corruption that existed in Mexico, and hopefully will cease to exist. We wanted to investigate how, regardless of all the institutions, of all the regulations, of all the think tanks and focus groups and things that we do as a society to establish, a welfare state or something to establish, a country where people are not left behind in a way. that society caters for the individual in that sense. All of a sudden, I mean, this still exists. This still, this violence still is there, is present, and we wanted to investigate why is it still happening? Why is it still happening?
And what did you learn?
And well, this is something that has been said many times, but definitely, growing up with a lack of music, from the home, like lack of love when you're growing up as a kid. Many survive it. The vast majority survive it and make it better. But some people do not survive that. And some people that do not survive that can, in a certain point in their lives, in a certain position, in a certain context, can make decisions that become not just, easy mistakes or, like normal mistakes to do as growing up, but actually mistakes that are the worst thing you can think of, like thinking that by kidnapping another kid, how is it that we got to the point that kids can kidnap other kids? That can think about kidnapping another kid. Where does that come from? Where does that narrative come from?
This is something that happens in the film.
Exactly. So it is the ultimate kind of like bad mistake, because in a way they do not mean anything wrong, but at the same time they're doing the worst thing that can ever they can even imagine.
But even though there's so much, and I want to say there's so much violence in this film, because it's not an obscenely violent film, but it is so much about again the cycle of violence, and how a parent is abusive to a child, and how a child can then be abusive to another child, and how that just kind of carries on generational to generation. And again, as you mentioned, it doesn't happen all the time. Mm-hmm. But you've said, and I'm curious about this, you've said that ultimately you want this film to be a hopeful film about the future. What do you mean by that?
And that's something that people that see the film will hopefully find the hints. There's certain elements of the film that that focuses on the narrative that is a little bit more tender, that is a little bit more off the established narrative, because basically the characters, what they feel they have to do is they're buying the ticket of the established narrative, of Western narrative. I mean,
I hope I'm not spoiling it, but they figure they can become electricians.
Exactly.
And they can buy a ticket to become an electrician and get out of poverty.
Exactly. Earn money quickly, stop working, and get out. Mm-hmm. Leave the place. The famous Noah's Ark kind of thing of like, okay, this place is done, let's go to another place. And that's something that we've all had to fight against in a way, or have had to enter that that narrative. No, it has confronted us, and depending on the abilities that you have, well, you're capable of choosing and making it and establishing another narrative, and actually going into something much more ambitious or much more incredible, or actually saying, wait, I don't have to leave my place. No, I can stay here and I can build something incredible. So there's many voices in the film that actually think that there is another way, that another way is possible. One of them is the friend of the main character who wants to be a clown, and the other, I think this is the most important voice in a way, is his girlfriend, a little girl. Yes, that she is the only one that has all her dialogues are of utmost responsibility. And she's the one that holds, I think, the mystery and the solution to things. I mean, I don't want to spoil it to the people that have seen it, but I think that through her actions and through what she does, you can really feel that they really don't understand, because it doesn't fit the canon, what she does, in terms of how much love and patience she has, and how much. She holds a key to how things should be different, and that is going to be Chicuarotes. That's going to be Chicuarotes Part 2.
But which again is surrounding. If you surround the people with love, if you're surrounded by love, if you grow up with love, if love is around you, this is the best antidote to all these problems.
Exactly. Yes, I think so. Yeah. Yes, it is something that, and of course, I mean, Mexico is a very it has a very strong culture based on the family, and the love in the family. I mean, it is something. So it is really off when a family is not working. You know, it is really like something that is not. I mean, some people argue that that's the culture that has made us not collapse.
Right?
Basically,
is the love. It's a really beautiful film. You're also starring in 2 films at TIFF this year, The Wasp Network and is Emma.
Yeah.
So hold on. 2 films you're acting in, 1 film you're directing. You're all at this film festival in Canada. How are you here? Like, are you just running around from screening to screening? Do you get any time to enjoy the city at all?
Yeah, I've had time actually. Yeah. I mean, I think it has to do with I don't know. I think growing up also allows you to administrate yourself a little bit more. So I'm able to. I've been able to enjoy and to see the city and to come back and it's always nice to. I feel I discover certain secrets, but obviously they're not. But I feel that
the subway
exactly. No. There's places for me exactly that I go like, oh, the subway, yeah, exactly. What is it? The stations, yeah, exactly. Museum station, incredible.
Museum station is a beautiful station. You're right about that. Yeah,
station,
if you're listening across Canada, it's the station that leads to the museum, but it is actually a quite beautiful subway station.
Exactly.
I can't believe we're talking about it, but I'm with you. It's a beautiful station.
So I've had time to do that, but also it is strange because I took the time to make my film and the whole team we took our time and we developed it organically and we premiered the film in Cannes. We've showed it in other film festivals now for the first time in North America, and it's showing here. We premiered it in Mexico also already, these other 2 films that I'm in, they did them really quickly, and so they catched up with. It's like, how come it's coming out now? And so it is kind of at the same time, and it is a bit handful, but it's wonderful. I mean, it's a great thing to travel with films and to be able to talk about the films. It is so amazing, really, because it seldom happens.
I'm sure it does. Well, it's a beautiful film, and I could talk about it forever. But I know you have to go to 43 other interviews in the next hour.
Today's a heavy day.
It's been nice to talk to you. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm delighted.